You are afraid of dying, or so you think. Close your eyes for a second and picture your worst fear. Most people picture a car crash, a plane going down, a diagnosis, but that is not what your brain is actually built to fear. The real answer is far stranger. For most of human history, death was common. It was fast. It was everywhere. A fever could take you in a week. A bad hunt could take you in an afternoon. And yet, the humans who survived long enough to become your ancestors were not the ones who feared death the most. They were the ones who feared something else entirely, something quieter, something that could kill you slower than any predator ever could. They feared being alone. Not alone for an afternoon. Not alone for a walk in the woods. Alone in the deepest sense. Cut off from the group. Exiled. Forgotten. For a modern person, loneliness feels like an emotion, an uncomfortable Tuesday night. For a Pleistocene human, loneliness was a death sentence with a delay button. Here is why. Humans are not fast. You cannot outrun a lion. You do not have claws or fangs or thick hide. Your entire survival strategy, the one written into your genes over hundreds of thousands of years, depended on one single resource: the group. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar spent decades studying primate social groups, and his research suggests something remarkable. Human brains grew as large as they did largely to manage social relationships, not to invent tools or make fire. Your brain is, in a very real sense, a social organ first and a thinking organ second. So when a person was cast out of the tribe in the ancient world, they were not just losing friendship, they were losing their food-sharing network, their defense system, their child care, their early warning system for predators. Exile did not usually end in a dramatic death. It ended in a quiet one: starvation, exposure, a wound that no one was there to treat. This is why your body still reacts to social rejection as if it were physical danger. Psychologist Naomi Eisenberger ran a now-famous study using a simple computer game called Cyberball, where participants tossed a virtual ball with two other players. Except the game was rigged. At some point, the other players stopped throwing the ball to the participant. Just stopped. No explanation. Nothing dramatic happened on screen. And yet, brain scans showed activity in the anterior cingulate cortex, the same region that lights up during physical pain. Being left out of a video game about tossing a ball activated the same circuitry as a broken bone. Think about that for a second. Your brain did not evolve to distinguish between the pain of a broken rib and the pain of being excluded. To your oldest, deepest instincts, they are the same signal: danger. You are unprotected. Do something. This single mechanism explains an enormous amount of modern behavior that otherwise looks completely irrational. Why does a single unanswered text message create quiet anxiety? Why does watching a group photo online, one you were not in, produce a small physical pang, almost like nausea? Why does public speaking rank, in survey after survey, as one of the most feared human experiences, often ranked above death itself? None of these threats can actually kill you, not one. But your ancient alarm system does not know the difference between a modern audience and a hostile tribe, deciding whether to leave you behind at the next camp. Evolutionary psychologist Leda Cosmides, along with her longtime collaborator John Tooby, described the human mind as a collection of specialized tools shaped by ancestral problems, not modern ones. Your mind was not built for smartphones or offices or crowded lecture halls. It was built for small bands of 30 to 150 people, where every relationship mattered, where reputation was currency, and where being disliked by the group was not a bad feeling. It was a survival threat with teeth. There is a term for this mismatch. Researchers call it evolutionary mismatch. The idea that the environment you live in today looks almost nothing like the environment your instincts were built for. You are running ancient software on modern hardware, and sometimes the software glitches. Social anxiety is not a personal flaw. It is a 30,000-year-old alarm system going off in a world it was never designed to read. Consider ostracism specifically, a word that comes from ancient Athens, where citizens could vote to banish a person from the city for 10 years by writing a name on a broken piece of pottery called an ostracon. No trial, no crime required, just enough votes, and you were gone. And notice what the punishment actually was: not execution, execution, not imprisonment, removal from the group. Even in a fully developed civilization, with laws and walls and armies, the worst thing they could do to a person was still make them alone. Psychologist Kipling Williams has spent much of his career studying ostracism specifically, running experiments across dozens of cultures, and the pattern holds up almost everywhere he looks. Being excluded, even briefly, even by strangers, even in a meaningless game, produces measurable drops in mood, in self-esteem, in a person's basic sense of control over their own life. Williams has argued that ostracism may be one of the most universally painful experiences a human being can go through, precisely because it targets something so fundamental. Belonging is not a luxury for humans. It is closer to a requirement. Here is the twist that makes all of this stranger. You would think that after enough rejection, a person's need to belong would just shut off, the way hunger fades after you have gone long enough without eating. But that is not what happens. Studies on chronic loneliness, including long-running work out of the University of Chicago, found the opposite pattern. Prolonged isolation does not calm the alarm system down, it sensitizes it further. Lonely individuals in these studies became more likely to interpret neutral faces as hostile, more likely to expect rejection before it even happened, more likely to withdraw exactly when reaching out would have helped most. Isolation does not just feel bad, it quietly rewires how a person reads the entire social world around them, which means the ancient fear was not irrational at all. It was precise. Isolation genuinely was one of the most dangerous conditions a human being could be in, and your nervous system still treats it that way, even now, even in a city of 10 million people, even when you are physically surrounded by others every single day. That is the strange part of modern life. You can be around people constantly, in offices, on trains, in crowded feeds, and still register as alone because your ancient brain is not counting bodies in a room. It is counting bonds. It is asking a much older question. Do these people know me? Would they notice if I disappeared? Would they come looking? This is also why small acts of connection feel disproportionately powerful. A friend checking in for no reason, a stranger holding a door and meeting your eyes, a group remembering your birthday without being reminded. These moments feel good, not because they are objectively significant, but because deep in your nervous system, they answer the oldest question a human being has ever asked about their own safety. Am I still part of the group? So the next time you feel that small, sharp sting of being left out, of a message left on read, of a group plan you were not invited to, know what you are actually feeling. It is not weakness. It is not oversensitivity. It is one of the oldest alarm systems in the human body, doing exactly the job it was built to do, in a world it was never designed for.
You were not afraid of dying. Your ancestors were afraid of dying alone, unseen, and forgotten by the only thing that ever kept them alive. And somewhere underneath everything modern life has built around you, that fear is still running, still watching, still asking the same question. It has asked for 100,000 years. Does anyone still see me?